feet.
So where do you want me to stand when you
You
start
know, I'm
talking?
thinking might just be comfortable not to stand. In other words,
Do you want me actually to come up when we do the chanting?
absolutely.
Okay, so I'll stay there. And then
So I'm thinking,
yeah.
but when you introduce us, we should both stand up and face the congregants.
Okay.
Because we're going to read the short bio, and you and I both.
Okay.
And then when we're done with that, when I turn around to walk up here, I would say you can just sit.
Okay.
Let me deliver this piece.
Okay.
Before I interact, right? Once that's done, we move to Q&A. Then I want you to come up here to the stools and we'll sit right here.
Okay.
And do the Q&A.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, this is nice.
All right.
Big podium.
Hey, how you doing, Skipper?
So my wife had to work today, but listen, if you guys want to go eat at a restaurant, it's on me. It's West Bloomfield.
That's what's after.
Okay, all right.
Eat some coffee.
Yeah, because it's the best Chinese restaurant in the state of Michigan. Qinghua, yeah.
Okay.
That's great. I'm glad you brought that.
Well, this is just my backup. In other words, I may read from this.
Okay.
But you never know. So there it is.
Oh, perfect. Is there a restroom?
Yeah, I'll show you.
Okay.
Good morning. Please join us as you are willing and able and stand for our spirit music, number 86, Blessed Spirit of My Life. Good morning and welcome to the Universalist Unitarian Church of Farmington. My name is Elizabeth Knight and I am the chair of the Sunday Service Committee. The Sunday Service Committee coordinates and organizes everything that you see here today, from our guest speakers to coordinating the music as well as the ushers and the sound. If you are interested in having a say in what kind of guest speakers we have in the future. We are getting ready to start working out our summer schedule, and we would love to have you. Our next meeting is April. Let's back that up. April 14th after service. If you're interested, you can see myself, Ann Ford, Barb Eglinton, or Hannah Donegan are all members of the committee. Would be happy to give you more information about our upcoming meeting. Our minister, Reverend Leonetta, is out of the pulpit today. Today's guest speakers are Al Carpinelli and Cole Beber. I'd like to extend a special welcome to any visitors today. Please join us in the lower level after service for coffee hour. Newcomers may enjoy introductory conversations downstairs at the welcome table with our members. And at this time, I invite any first-time visitors to stand and let us know where you are from and how you heard about us. We would love to meet you. Go ahead. Wonderful. Thank you for coming. Welcome. Well, we're so glad you came. Thank you. During the service, we have supervised nursery for babies and toddlers and religious education classes for children and youth. If you're interested, please see our religious education coordinator, Natalie Case, for more information. And should you need to leave the service for any reason, there are 2 other locations in the building where the service is broadcast, and Usher can direct you. Our UU principles begin with our pledge to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of all people. As we are a welcoming congregation, we welcome into our community people of all races, sexual orientations, belief systems, and ages, including any who are fidgety and create youthful noises. All humans represent our future, and we welcome them fully in our meeting house. And I was made aware there are a couple announcements today. Nathan, did you want to come up?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Nathan Whitehead. Weather is turning nice, so that's a reminder that it's time again for Camp Dearborn, our tradition of a bunch of people from the church going out to Milford. And it's a fantastic time if you haven't been there before. We get a bunch of tents, and I use the word tents loosely. There's a cement slab with 6 cots in there. There's a mini fridge. There's a primitive electric range as well as a charcoal grill. It's a perfect opportunity for families of all sizes, little kids. It's easy camping to grown-ups. We get together. There's a beach. There's a bunch of playgrounds. There's paddle boats. You can go fishing. It's a great time. We have a potluck up on Saturday night. It costs $90 for its 3 days, 2 nights. And it's May 31st, so it's upcoming. There's a sign-up sheet in Adams Hall downstairs. You need to sign up by 2 weeks from now, whenever that is. April 7th-ish, we'll call it that. So please sign up and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.
And we have another announcement from Yvonne and Betty.
Hey, Betty. Hey, Betty, where are you walking to?
Oh, hi. I'm practicing getting all set for the crop walk, the 2019 crop hunger walk.
Betty, what is the crop hunger walk?
Well, with the crop hunger walk, we work to end hunger in this country and all around the world.
How do you do that?
Well, the funds we raise by walking go to the Church World Service, which does projects around the world to teach people to grow more food, to feed their families, or to sell at the market. And they can raise chickens and find clean drinking water. They also help people during disasters.
Really?
Yes. And 25% of the money that we gather goes to local food pantries, such as Neighborhood House, Salvation Army, CARES of Farmington Hills, and Yad Ezra, which provides kosher food.
So when is the Crop Hunger Walk?
Oh, the Crop Hunger Walk is on Sunday, May 5th. It's always in this area the first Sunday of the month of May. Registration is at 1 o'clock, and the walk starts at 1:30 p.m. at the First United Church in downtown Farmington. There's a 2-mile and a 6-mile walk. We walk with other people from other churches in the Farmington Hills, West Bloomfield area.
How do I sign up?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. Okay, well, you can just see me, and I have the folders that you can sign up, and then you will use that. And actually, you have some too, Yvonne.
Yeah, I guess I do. Yeah, and it's usually a lot of fun, and it's usually a beautiful time of year for a walk. What can I do to help if I can't walk?
Well, we have a few people that have already signed up to walk. If any of you are around, could you raise your hands? All right. And you can see you go to them and you give them your money. All right? And then you feel really good.
Okay, thanks for letting me know about the Crop Hunger Walk. In Farmington Hills, West Bloomfield Crop Hunger Walk on Sunday, May 5th in downtown Farmington.
Hope we will get all of you to participate, donating or walking.
In terms of additional announcements, always please check the order of service. The back of your order of service has additional announcements about upcoming events. And as a reminder, please take a moment to silence your phone. Our opening words today are from Gordon B. McKeenan. Deep calls into deep, joy calls unto joy, light calls unto light. Let the kindling of this flame rekindle us in the inner light of love, of peace, of hope. And as one flame lights another, nor grows the less, we pledge ourselves to be bearers of the light wherever we are. Please rise as you are willing and able for hymn 1031 in the teal hymnal, Filled with Loving Kindness. join me in reading our litany in your order of service on page 3. From the busyness of every day, we gather once a week to remember who we are, to dream of who we might become. We travel this road together. As companions on this journey, we share the milestones we meet along the way. Individual moments of joy and sorrow become shared moments of comfort and celebration. We travel this road together. We share this journey across differences of belief and opinion because we value diversity and because we care for one another. We travel this road together. Today, we take the next steps. Let us notice our fellow travelers, the burdens that they carry, the songs that inspire their hearts. We travel this road together. As we gather in beloved community, let us open the holy havens of our hearts. Let us share the sacred places of our souls, for we are pilgrims who share a common path. We travel this road together. A perfect heart is one that has known love and loss, joy and sorrow. The perfect heart is one that has been shared. You are invited to share your first name and a joy or a sorrow as we gather in our hearts of perfection. Your brevity allows time for all to share their thoughts. Please line up at the side aisles to share your joys and sorrows. We, as the beloved community, will direct our energy, prayers, and meditation toward your sharing as a gift of compassion and strength. You may light a candle in acknowledgement of a spoken or silent joy or sorrow. Please join me in reading our unison words of offering as we acknowledge our generosity and intention to continue to support and build this welcoming community. If you are a first-time visitor, please know that you're our guest today. We give generously to support this church where love, justice, and equality inspire our acts of service and compassion. We dedicate these gifts to all that we stand for within the Unitarian Universalist tradition. Our guest speakers today are Al Carpinelli and Cole Beber. Al Carpinelli is a 15-year practitioner of Nichiren Buddhism and a men's division leader in Soka Gakkai, USA. Al and his wife, Carol, had been UUCF members for more than 20 years through the 80s and 90s. Al had served on the UUCF board twice as finance secretary and then as vice president in support of Ann Ford. Cole Beber has been practicing Soka Gakkai Nichiren Buddhism his entire life and is currently the SGI-USA Michigan Region Men's Division Leader. Cole and his wife, Supane, are residents in Southfield, Michigan.
Good morning. First of all, let me start with expressing appreciation to this congregation. Soka Gakkai International highly treasure these opportunities to have what we call interfaith dialogue, which today is for us. So we're just thrilled to be here to offer you insight about our sect of Buddhism. You know, coming back to your pulpit, this is my third time in 15 years to be invited here. It's a great privilege to stand in front of you and share our Buddhism with you. I will say, when I have the opportunity, which is often, to talk to my friends in Buddhism about UUCF, I tell them open-heartedly, this congregation of Unitarian Universalists have great Buddha heart, every one of them. Humanist, accepting, tolerant, diverse congregation. So again, from Soka Gakkai International-USA, thank you for inviting us today. What is the purpose of religion? To enable human beings to become happy. That is the goal of Buddhism as practiced by the Soka Gakkai International. To enable every single person to become happy without exception. This inherent potential is what we in the SGI refer to as Buddha nature, a state of life characterized by limitless courage, wisdom, and compassion. The founder of Buddhism, Shakyamuni, or Siddhartha, as he is sometimes known, expressed this law of life in the Lotus Sutra, where he revealed that all people, without exception, possess this Buddha nature and are inherently worthy of respect. In the 13th century, a Japanese Buddhist religious reformer named Nichiren identified that the practice of chanting the Lotus Sutra's title, Myoho Renge Kyo, together with the Sanskrit word nam, which means to devote oneself, is itself the way to bring forth from within our Buddha nature. Simply put, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo is the name of this potential or Buddha nature within our life. To chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, then, is to call forth your Buddha nature. SGI President Daisaku Ikeda once wrote, quote, Daimoku, or Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, is a universal language that is instantly understood by Buddhists. By chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, we awaken to the reality that within our life is unlimited reserves of courage, wisdom, and compassion, that we are in fact Buddhas. Based on this conviction, we can transform any suffering, lead those around us to happiness, and create peace in our communities and the world. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo is a declaration of the inherent dignity and power within the lives of all people. Accepting and understanding this principle, that all people possess Buddhahood, can be easy. However, actually believing in and actualizing this potential each day can become difficult. For this reason, SGI members chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo to the Gohansen, which is a scroll enshrined within an altar in our homes. Gohansen can be literally translated as fundamental object of devotion. However, on a deeper level, this object of devotion is revolutionary in that it is meant to serve as a mirror of our own lives. Down the middle of the Gohansen scroll is a large, bold kanji script, are the characters for Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. And just below this appear the characters for Nichiren. Nichiren put his own name below Nam-myoho Renge Kyo to proclaim that ordinary people and this great law of Buddhahood are one in the same. To the left and the right of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo on the scroll are various states of life that a human being can have. I'll defer quickly. Those states of life are the 10 worlds. Some of you may have heard of. In our open discussion in a few minutes, that may be a topic you can ask about. Cole and I and our SGI colleagues will be happy to address that. 10 worlds of Buddhism. These are the 10 worlds in Buddhism that I mentioned. In this way, the Gohansen reveals to us that we possess the great life condition of Buddhahood just as we are. The Gohansen, therefore, serves as a blueprint of our lives. It shows us clearly that we possess limitless courage, wisdom, and compassion in our present form. As we practice it, we develop faith in ourselves and in our ability to surmount any obstacles or suffering. Allow me to offer a brief on our organizational structure. The Soka Gakkai International is a grassroots Buddhist organization with more than 12 million practitioners in 192 countries and territories. SGI-USA is the most diverse Buddhist community in the United States, with more than 500 chapters and some meeting houses and 100 centers throughout the country. We SGI members base our practice on the Lotus Sutra and on Nichiren Buddhism, which teaches that each person has within them the courage, wisdom, and compassion to face and surmount any of life's challenges. Based on core Buddhist principles such as respecting the dignity of human life and the interconnectedness of self and the environment, SGI engages in various peace activities, including human rights education, the movement to abolish nuclear weapons, and efforts to promote sustainable development. Based on the Buddhist belief that all people equally possess Buddhahood, we have no priest or clergy. Rather, we practice Buddhism as equals, encouraging one another to overcome life's difficulties based on Buddhist principles while striving for our dreams and the peace of our communities. A central activity for SGI members are monthly discussion meetings in our local neighborhoods where we chant, study together, and encourage one another. Our third and current president of the SGI, Daisaku Ikeda, serves as a great example of actualizing the limitless potential that exists within each person's life. He has dedicated his life to spreading a message of peace based on the dignity of human life through countless meetings with ordinary people as well as with world figures such as Rosa Parks, Nelson Mandela, Mikhail Gorbachev, and has received honorary doctorates from over 300 universities around the world. His philosophy of peace can be summed up as follows, quote, "When we change, the world changes. The key to all change is our inner transformation, a change of our hearts and minds. This is human revolution, end quote. To chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo is to call forth your Buddha nature. By chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, we awaken to the reality that within our life is unlimited reserves of courage, wisdom, and compassion, that we are, in fact, Buddhas. To start out, SGI members present will please stand and demonstrate chanting a Sancho, a 3-verse recitation following my chiming of the prayer bowl. In a few minutes, we'll ask the congregants to join us. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Stay on your feet, if you will. Cole, perhaps use the microphone. Okay. Kyler and Carol, come on up. Maybe use this microphone with me if you want, Kyler. We're going to lead the congregation. I'll chant the bell, chime the bell again. Let's do a Sancho again, 3 slow repetitions of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And then after those 3, we'll pick up the pace a little bit. Sure. Until I ring the bell again. Then we'll close again with 3 slow chants of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. If you look in your order of service on page 4, I believe, you'll see the words Nam Myoho Renge Kyo.
Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Nam Myoho Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. 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 Okay. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. You guys are great. Did perfect. Thank you.
Dear congregants, thank you so much for sharing your spiritual energy and enchanting the Daimoku with us. Now let's transition to some open dialogue. As I told Liz and other members here that led up the committee, we'll switch to a little dialogue, Merv Griffin style, for those of you that can remember who Merv Griffin was. Some younger people don't remember Merv. So we want to open up to Q&A dialogue, if you will. Grab that mic.
So if someone in the congregation has a question, just raise your hand and I'll come around with the microphone so that we make sure that everybody can hear your question as well as their
Okay,
answer.
thank you.
Can you remind us what is the meaning, is the translation of Nam Yoho Renge Kyo?
Oh, excellent. That was great. So Nam means devotion. Anything in life, we have to, devote our lives to it. Myoho is the mystic law, the law of life, that permeates the universe. Renge is cause and effect. And it also represents the lotus flower. The lotus flower grows in the muddy swamp. So it's really like, really in order to bring forth your greatest potential, you have to be in society, with all its troubles. That's where we really develop as human beings. So the lotus flower also represents a thing called simultaneity of cause and effect. So, life is governed by cause and effect. We can constantly see that within, in our environment, within our own daily lives. So when we make causes, they're simultaneously, the effect is registered within our life. And it may appear right away, or it may take a long time before it manifests. So all of us, in Buddhism, we believe that life is eternal. We appear, we're born, and then we die, just like waking and sleeping at night, So if you go to bed tonight and you still owe your credit card company, you wake up the next morning, you still owe that, right? So, we carry these karma, these causes throughout our lifetime. So we're born in this life with our unique circumstances from the causes we made in the past. So we really are striving to become happy and transform our destiny in this lifetime right now. So that's Kyo. So Nam means devotion. Myoho is the mystic law. Renge is the lotus flower. And then Kyo means the Buddha's teachings. It actually means sutra, or it means the voice or teachings of the Buddha. So we are devoting ourselves to this mystic law of cause and effect of this Buddha's teaching. And people say also devotion to the mystic law of cause and effect through sound or vibration. So when we chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, we're really calling forth this higher life condition. I love scary movies, and I always love dun dun dun. That brings out this feeling of fear, right? So music and sound, or you go to your friend and you say, hey, I just want to let you know I really appreciate you. You mean so much to me, That can transform someone's life. So this law of, when we chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, it's a language that the environment, Buddhas can instantly understand. Even our own lives, we may not intellectually understand it, but when we chant, as you start chanting, you'll start feeling, wow, I'm feeling so happy, feeling so courageous, So this is, there's a theoretical understanding, but the best way is to actually experience it by chanting, Hope that helps. Okay.
The current leader, Soka Gakkai, is he Japanese? And is this
Yes, he is.
Japanese?
And we refer to him as sensei, which is Japanese for respected teacher or mentor. Daisaku Ikeda has been president since 1960. He's the third international president of the Soka Gakkai. He's now 91 years old. He had traveled the world many, many times, hundreds of trips since 1960. In the last couple of years, I think his health is declining. He's not traveled as much internationally. But he's still very active in writing guidance for us as our leader and lives in Tokyo.
Hi, I'm curious to know other sects of Buddhism, Hinayana, Mahayana, with great emphasis on meditation and enlightenment. Does Soka Gakkai, how much emphasis are those two things in your sect?
So our primary practice is the chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and I can share a little bit about the different kinds of Buddhism. So you can imagine maybe 2,500 years ago, the historical Buddha, living in India, and he realized that this suffering, really came about because people felt they didn't have the power to overcome it. When we encounter something like a problem in our life, if we know we can overcome it, we don't really suffer. We just, fight, strive to overcome that obstacle. But when we encounter a problem that we feel like we have no way to overcome it, that's where we feel misery. We lose hope, right? So anyways, Shakyamuni realized that the reason why people were really suffering is they lacked that, weren't able to really see this great power they had within their own lives. And in India, they had the caste system, so not everyone was equal. If you were born into a lower class, you were kind of lesser, at that time. They had the different levels. And so anyways, when Shakyamuni realized this great enlightenment, he realized how difficult it would be to, spread that. A lot of people weren't educated. It's 2,500 years ago. And so anyways, for 50 years, he had to really teach. It's like if you're to teach a kindergarten, one day I want to teach him trigonometry, or I want to teach him calculus. We have to really start off with the basics. So throughout those 50 years, he continued to teach these teachings that were kind of like preparatory, and they already had many religions in India, so it took a long time for him to preach these different teachings. And he expressed, just like when you build a giant skyscraper or like a building, they have a scaffolding that they put around the building, and as they build the building, the workers stand on the scaffolding. Once the building is complete, you discard the scaffolding. So after 50 years, he said, actually, these teachings I taught you, like you talked about the early teachings, Hinayana, later Mahayana, that he said, actually, these are only to prepare you. Now I'm going to teach you this ultimate teaching, which was the Lotus Sutra we talked about. Nam-myoho Renge-kyo is the title. In that, he revealed that all people are equal and that they have the same potential. They all have the same potential to become happy. And people couldn't believe that. They said women aren't equal, people that are born in lower castes aren't equal, and it was so difficult for people. So many people left. Many people clung on to those easier teachings to accept. But this ultimate teaching is, Shakyamuni, he said, there's no difference between you and me. I'm awake. You're still sleeping, So this Buddhahood is actually, it's life itself. All of us have this potential to become happy. All of us have anger. We have sadness. So we also have this life condition where Al was saying tremendous amounts of courage, wisdom, and compassion. So that was so difficult, for people to realize that. So as Buddhism spread, Shakyamuni said, my teachings in the future will spread and become mixed up and lose its power. That's exactly what it traveled to China, Korea, Japan. People started mixing in their own customs and cultures, and it kind of lost the true purpose of helping people become happy and overcome their problems. It became very ritualized. I think we see that in some religions where it becomes very ritualized. Its main focus isn't to help people become happy. So during that time in Japan, many, hundreds of years later, there was temples in Japan on every corner, and there was so much suffering. Natural disasters, the temples are fighting with each other, there's samurais killing. People walked on the street, samurais were killing each other. And so this person appeared named Nichiren and said, if there's one Buddha, why are there so many different schools and teachings, and why is everyone miserable, if this is supposed to be a correct teaching, So he really dove into these teachings and realized out of the Hinayana and Mahayana that this Lotus Sutra was the ultimate teaching, and that's really where we base our practice on. And I guess I could share another example that, like today we have the television, we have our cell phones, now we can just hit a button and talk to our friends across the world, So this chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, or we talked about this scroll, is sort of like a spiritual technology. We're able to immediately tap right into our Buddha nature. Like that meditation, I believe it's like, I think, you close your mind, you still your mind, and you try to perceive, your highest potential. But it's kind of like me trying to look into this deep, look into the sky and look at the stars. But if I have a telescope, I can just look into the telescope and boom, see the moon very close. So this Nam-myoho Renge-kyo is very much a way to immediately tap your Buddhahood right away. And, we can talk about theory all day long, but the important thing is whether or not it actually works in your daily life. So in my life, growing up, I had tremendous amount of depression. It ran in my mother's side of the family, and through practicing this, I totally transformed my life. And no longer have those depression problems. You know, I totally overcame it in my teens, but now I have tons of problems, you know? So that's why I can't stop practicing. I have to continue practicing this Buddhism because I have so many problems, but it never fails to help me find a breakthrough, you know, and also to have the support. But I hope that helps. You can ask some more, maybe Alan.
Let me finish the close on this one for Jay's question. Specifically, Nichiren Buddhism, we do not promote or practice silent meditation. We instead have active prayer, which is chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo in front of our small altar in our Butsudan, our Gohansen scroll. We also have a prayer we call Gangyo, which is written in Sanskrit and Japanese. It's 2 chapters of the Lotus Sutra. But the important point is, no, we don't meditate. We actively pray twice a day in front of our altar. It may take 4 or 5 minutes. Some members will practice for an hour. They'll chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo for an hour or 2 hours, whatever time it takes them to muster that spiritual energy from their heart. It comes from within you. That's the important point. It's within you. Whatever time you need to muster your exercise, spiritual exercise, to quote, get pumped up, Hans and Froden style, right? And then go out there outside the doors of your home and conquer the world, so to speak, conquer your problems. So that's a very significant difference. We don't meditate, and again, as I mentioned in my presentation, we're all lay-led. There are no priests, monks, or nuns. We are all equal. We all have equal access to Buddhahood.
I'm addicted to mundanity, so my questions are therefore kind of secular. What's your concept of deity, and how does Buddhism plan to or propose to deal with climate change?
So for maybe I'll take can I do the climate change first? So I think, you know, there's a Buddhist quote that says there's not two lands, pure and impure. The difference lies solely in the hearts and minds of the people. So this land, this earth right now, it's really not like a evil land or a good land. It depends on the people that live here. You know, so if you look at, you know, maybe like a place, an area in the world where they don't value women, they don't think people are equal, there's a lot of greed, the environment is showing that, right? You see a lot of natural destruction, you know, all these problems, it manifests in the environment. When we go, you know, when you feel sad, it manifests in your own life, right? You can tell, oh, they look sad, right? So when we transform ourselves, our inner hearts, you know, and change our values, the climate, the environment's going to start changing, you know, and that's what people are waking up to now. They realize we really got to, you know, change what's going on right now. It's so much greed, right? And people are saying, I don't care about the environment. I just want to make money now. You know, they don't care about future generations. So we have to actually transform that. And that's why it's so important that we have really focus on the young people. You know, all of us, you're very youthful, I can tell, because youth is like a, it's your state of mind, right? But also, too, being realistic, you know, we're not going to all be here, you know, in the future, right? So we need to continually focus on the next young generation, young children. You know, we're like the needle. They're like the thread. Once the needle goes through the cloth, then they discard the needle, and all that's left is the thread. That's the youth, you know? So really, the way to transform climate change is really what you guys are doing here today. Really transforming people's hearts, their values, and to try to create a society where people value, you know, human beings and our environment. Yep.
I'm going to address the deity question for you. In Nichiren Buddhism, we do not profess to have a deity. There is not a God. There is Buddhahood. And all of us have Buddhahood, as I mentioned in my talk. And in these 10 worlds, I know it's an eye test from where you're sitting, but in those 10 worlds, the highest and 10th world is Buddhahood. Right below it is the 9th world of Bodhisattva, which means compassion. I must have said the word compassion like 7 times in that introduction. And I didn't invent that. I took it directly from the SGI-USA website. So I'm on spot, if you will, on the same page with the organization. We as Buddhists every day, when we chant and we pray, we want to elevate our life condition. Every day of our life, you want to be what we call a high life state. Today could be your last day. You don't know when your last breath will come. So our goal as Buddhists is to be up here in these upper worlds, not these lower worlds of hell, hunger, animality, we all have these worlds in our being because we're human. Any given day, I may feel hell, I may feel hunger or anger, right? We're human. But as Buddhists, we want to be aware Buddhist. I will chant and pray to be aware and have wisdom, to recognize myself when I'm feeling angry or selfish, and then raise my life condition. I want to be up here in the 9th and 10th world as often as I can be. But to answer your question, no deity. When we pray to the Gohansen, that scroll, it's a mirror. Carol and I share the same scroll. I don't need 3 of them. 1 scroll's fine. But that is a mirror for both of us when we pray together in the morning and in the evening.
Sure. So also, too, I think everyone's idea of a god or deity is different, their definition of that. So, in Buddhism, in Buddhist literature, they talk about these Buddhist gods. What that refers to in Buddhism are functions in life that protect life. So, for instance, the sun has been around for how long? Long time, right? And it's continually exploding, tremendous amount of energy, and it's keeping all life on planet Earth alive. So many ancient people worshipped the sun as like their deity, right? It's an actual thing that's keeping all life alive, protecting our environment. But Buddhism goes much deeper, is that, throughout the entire universe, all these millions of stars, solar systems, all the laws that are throughout the universe, there's actually a fundamental law governing all laws, all things in the universe. So we're not worshiping the sun. What is the essential law of life that governs everything? And so that law is Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. But this is the difference. Just like if you think about electricity, this is a light over here, this is a light over here, this is a light over here, this is a light over here. But electricity is running through all of it, right? So this, in a sense, like a law of life is running, it's each one of your life. Each one of your life is a manifestation of this law, but it's also throughout the entire universe. So wherever there's an environment that sustains life, life appears, right? So if there's an earth out there, life will appear because the whole universe is alive. It's all interconnected. And you could think of like life as like a big ocean, right? We're like one of the waves that appear on the ocean, and then when we go back down, we melt back into this ocean. So this whole life itself, everything in it, this law we call Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. And even Einstein needed to give this idea of his thinking some kind of title, and it's E equals MC squared. With that formula, right, it expresses something very real in science that we know about. So this law of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is that ultimate law that moves everything throughout the universe. It's our life, and it governs the entire universe. So deity, I guess I would say, is like we'd have to think what our definition of that is, or God. Does that help at all? Okay. That's wonderful.
Perhaps, Liz, one more question. It's 11:30, and then we'll adjourn downstairs, and we'll be happy to stay for coffee and bagels and discuss. But go ahead, you have one
Sure.
more?
Does anybody have one more question? I'll come, Libby.
This is a bit of a statement of what some of the other people have said, but the question of Nam-myoho, whatever, Kyo, is that inherent? You're saying that the sound is inherently spiritual.
Yes.
But could I retranslate that to English or German or Korean and have the same effect? And if not, why not?
Okay. So no, I mean that's actually so Nam-myoho Renge Kyo during Shakyamuni's time, the title of the Lotus Sutra was Sanskrit, and it was translated from that Sanskrit to the Chinese, Chinese character, and then from that to, so actually it's a Japanese term, but it's a mixture. It's actually like contains Sanskrit and Chinese. You know, it's kind of taking all these languages. You know, but the thing that's interesting is that, so for instance, one thing that Buddhism teaches of all of us have our own unique mission. We're born here because each one of us has only something that we can do in this life. You know, we're here to do something. We have our own unique mission. And so, you know, people that appeared had their own unique mission. You know, Einstein appeared, he had a certain mission here, Gandhi, other people. And so Shakyamuni revealed during the time when he lived in India, this is very amazing because Shakyamuni said, you know, Buddhism will spread from west to east, like the moon rises and sheds its light eastwards. But then Shakyamuni said, in the future, my teachings will lose its power, and Buddhism will spread from east to west, like the sun. When the sun rises in the east, it spreads its light east to west. And what happened that was so amazing is that Buddhism died out in India. It spread from India to China, you know, eventually to Japan, Southeast Asia, and then it died out in India, died out in China, and then Buddhism actually appeared. This Buddhism that we practice appeared in Japan, and now is spreading from Japan now to 192 countries around the world. So Shakyamuni shared in the future. He said there'll be someone who will revitalize and bring this true teaching forward. You know, and so. This was Shakyamuni, this was the Buddha, you know, 2,500 years, the one that we know about in history. He revealed that this Buddhism will be reformed, you know, and this person's Buddhism will be the way for people in this time period to attain enlightenment. You know, depending on situations, for instance, if we have a cold, you know, we might say, oh, take some vitamin C, get some rest, and then we can overcome it. But when we have cancer, we have to take severe, you know, maybe treatments, you know, to really kill that cancer. So the time has changed. If you look at Shakyamuni's time, now we live in an age where the world is very small. There's so much communication. There's so much delusion. There's so much communication. People don't know what's real, what's not real. And so this time is a very difficult time. And so Shakyamuni realized that this teaching in the future will be the correct teaching. So this Nam-myoho Renge-kyo is actually, if we chant a different translation, it doesn't have the same rhythm. This is like the rhythm of life. Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. You know, it's like we could take the same notes of Beethoven's Ode to Joy. Da, 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 da. I can't sing, sorry. But, you know, it's that rhythm of the Ode to Joy that we know. If you take those notes and give different rhythms, it changes everything. So, I'm sorry. Yeah.
We should close our session. But just on Libby's question, no need to translate Nam-myoho Renge-kyo to any other language. It's not important about the specific words of devoting myself to the natural law of cause and effect. What's important is it's a mantra. It's a rhythm. It's a spiritual exercise that we do to raise our inner spirit. So for a lot of us, when we're at home and are chanting, we'll have a little list of determinations, like a prayer card, if you will. Someone in the family is suffering with disease, or someone's got financial troubles, or I'm having a relationship problem, right? We'll have a little list that's private to me or private to Carol, but we'll have our little list of determinations that I'm praying for. So as I'm firing up my spiritual engine, it's for a cause. And even to pray for someone else's ill health to become improved, I'm not asking a deity, I'm not going upstairs asking a deity to come back down and help Libby feel better. It's from my spirit to yours, as in the Indian, Buddhist, or Hindu term of namaste, from my spirit to yours. So if you're having ill health and I'm praying for you, I'll tell you I'm doing it, right? I'll say, Libby, tomorrow morning I'm going to chant for 60 minutes for your health improvement. That's all you need to know. Across that medium of the universe, my spirit to yours, not through a deity.
And again, what we focus most on is not theoretical proof, but actual proof. So if you chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo and it works, I'd keep on doing it, you know. So, and we can tell you it works, you know. Thank you.
We'll give the floor back to Liz. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cole.
Thank you.
Please stand as you are willing and able to join us in our hymn 159, This Is My Song. Our closing words are by Martha Kirby Capo. Our time together is finished, but our work is not yet done. May our spirits be renewed and our purpose resolved as we meet the challenges of the week to come. The chalice flame is extinguished until once again ignited by the strength of our communion. Go now in peace.